This video covers 2 days immediately following most of the demolition. It starts with the removal of the big hedge between us and our neighbors, includes cleanup of the last little bit of rubble and foundation, covers the rough-in of the new path, removal of a couple of trees to facilitate the path trajectory and path the location, placement of the septic tanks down the slope to where they will ultimately be buried, and general cleanup and tidy of the site down to close to the final building elevations. A lot got done in 2 days. I hope you enjoy. We're really off to a great start. The weather's been super. It hasn't rained since we started into all of this earthwork, and it's supposed to stay pretty nice for another week. We think we'll be done all of this by the end of next week. It's Friday today. Here you see Curtis in the excavator, and Ben is the other operator and dump truck driver. The blue is our old septic tank. That round tank was our old septic tank. We're going to reuse that as a pump chamber. You'll see that a little more later on. This is the start of the rough-in of the new path near the top. It's going to follow a similar trajectory to the old path, but the top is different and the bottom is different. We're trying to use the full width of the lot, and we're trying to make it wider to allow an ATV or some sort of small vehicle to use it. Previously it was wide enough to walk on and maybe a wheelbarrow. It needs to be at least twice as wide. There's the top view of the start of the new path. Basically, the septic tanks used to be under where that small excavator is located in this video. So you come down along the property line, turn right to hug the face of the slope, drop at as gentle a grade as possible all the way across the lot to the far property line, and then down, straight down onto the lawn. We want to use the full width of the lot so that the grade of the path is as low as it can be, and we also need to enter the lawn off the septic field. There you see Curtis starting to play with the new path. Pull the dirt off the high side, cut into the hill to make the path wider, throw the dirt over the edge, pack it down with the bucket on the little excavator to firm it up. We still need our geotechnical engineer's approval for the construction techniques here. We're a little bit nervous that he wants it to be less of a slope below the path, which mean a bit more work. So here you see him cutting into the top. Notice the big maple on the right with the ribbon on it. That tree is essentially going to be right where the path is, and it's going to come down. You'll see that later in the video. It's big. You couldn't wrap your arms. You probably could only wrap your arms halfway around it. There you see him working from the top down, the old timber stairs. In hindsight, this is a bit monotonous, but I think I'm probably too lazy to edit the video and trim it to make it more lively, so you'll just have to suffer. We don't know what that old pipe is. It does not go to the septic field. We're convinced of that. The line that went to the septic field is up at the top. Who knows what that was? Might be just old construction debris. So the blue round tank was our old septic tank. The green tank was our old pump chamber. Both are too small to meet current code, so we need a new septic tank, and we're going to reuse that round blue tank as the new pump chamber. That big lone maple that you see just to the left of the excavator with the ribbon at the base, that's the one that comes out. You'll see that later. Here he is working his way around that maple. You can see why it needs to come out. Plus, he's a little bit off our property onto the right-of-way on the next door. Not our neighbor's property, but a road allowance that borders our property. So technically our little pathway should probably stay on our property, which means that tree needs to come out. I don't know how tall that tree is, but it's pretty tall. 80, 90, 100 feet tall maybe. And you can see the shade that it casts on the garden too, so maybe when it comes out the garden will get a little bit more sun, which would be nice from growing flowers and fruit trees and things. So here you see the path starting to take shape. You can see it's obviously wide enough for his little excavator, and a quad would be more narrow than the excavator. The fence, if you're wondering, is a silt fence. It's a regulation that when you're digging on the bank, if it was to rain a whole bunch and all that soil was to wash off of the slope, you have to keep it from going on the beach. Some of that path is on our property, but most of it's just over the property line. It's still a bit steep as well, so you'll see coming up we will be adding some fill from up top. As they excavate up top down to the finished construction elevations, they're going to use that material to build up the path to make it less steep, and you'll see that operation teamwork between Ben and the big excavator and Curtis and the little one. You'll see that coming up. That's pretty entertaining. Here we go. You see the site getting progressively more neat and tidy. Here you can see there's already been a bunch of fill dumped around that old stump, and you can see Ben and the big excavator up top. See Curtis in the little excavator giving him directions. Move it that way a little bit. So this is near the end of the first day of this 2-day video, and I thought I would do a walk up the path to document the trajectory, try to illustrate a little bit about how wide it is and how steep it is. It's going to be difficult to see the steepness, I believe. You got to picture driving a quad on this, towing a little trailer full of bark mulch or topsoil or plants or whatever it needs to get down the hill, or maybe firewood coming up from the bottom. And now the eye level is about level there in that last shot, level with the basement floor. This is day 2, taking the big tree out. Give you a sense of how tall that is. So if that's a 6-foot man, it's at least 60 feet tall. And they told me it was between 30 and 60 years old, which I thought was incredibly young for the size of it, but apparently these big leaf maples grow very quickly. So it's a shame to take the big tree out, but the arborist, the gentleman in the tree, I can't remember his name, said that it's got an inclusion in the bottom. An inclusion means a very steep kind of crotch between two branches or trunks. Basically means it's weak and won't last long and won't have a long life. So he didn't, kind of relieved our guilt of taking it out. Obviously missed a whole bunch of footage of him taking the top part down, and I thought this was interesting watching him take the bigger sections of trunk down. He's got the notch, he's trying to kick it out with the spurs that he's used for climbing. You see the line that his partner has got. His partner is going to pull it uphill as he makes the back cut. I got these out of order. Obviously, he's still working on the notch in this shot. Here he is, getting ready to make the back cut. So he's working on the nearest of the two trunks. The notch dictates which way he wants it to fall. It's going to fall towards that notch. And he makes the back cut while his partner pulls on the top trunk. I don't know what that chunk weighs, but it's probably close to 24 inches in diameter. It's a pretty big log. And here we go, the tree's down, the arborists are gone, and here's Curtis tiptoeing his way over the edge with the big excavator, trying to place the new septic tank down at the bottom of the hill. Objective is to use the machine to lift it down to the bottom where we'll ultimately bury it without tipping the excavator down the hill, of course. It's steeper than it looks in this video. And then position it so that it doesn't continue to roll once he takes the chain off it and end up on the beach, wiping out all my garden and shed on the way. And this sort of oblong rectangular cylinder shape is one thing, but the next thing you'll see of them placing is the pump chamber, which is a round ball.
That was me.
I guess maybe I didn't get any video of them putting the pump chamber at the bottom. I took photos, but no video maybe. This is near the end of the day of day 2. You can see them just finishing the tidying. The surveyors have been out, hence all the orange stakes to delineate the property lines. They've tidied up the edges of the excavation. We've scraped it down to near the finished working elevation, which we can start to build up from. And I just thought I'd stand in one spot and turn in a circle, give you an idea of what's been accomplished after 2 days. That tank over there is the transfer tank for our rainwater harvesting. The water off the roof and the gutters will go into that tank and then get pumped from there up the hill into the cistern, which will be below the garage. You might see that excavation happen next week. Here's a walk over the edge. We're following the path. It's gotten a little wider since that last video where I walked up the path, or that last section. Continue to sort of shape it and trim it. There you see all the logs and debris from the tree removal. We'll move those out of the way with the small excavator. So this path is very rough. Curtis described it as this is a working road now for getting the machines down the hill to bury the septic tanks and things, and then he'll come in and pretty the path up and put some fabric down and gravel. So that was the 2 days. Hope you enjoyed. More video next week. Thank you. All for now. Bye.